What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way. So today we've got another Speedpaint story time for you. This piece came into my head a little randomly, and I thought it would be fun to see and make. A mostly monochromatic piece where the only other color is the light source. There's also a cold snap coming in where I live, so it's been particularly cold and snowy. So I got this concept of a character walking through the blizzard with only a lantern lighting their way, blocking some of the worst of the snow from an Arctic fox behind her. I don't know why, but the joke of a blank painting being a white fox in a snowstorm has stuck with me for years. And I like making pieces that actually feature a white fox in the snow. They can tend to be a little challenging in terms of tone. But I called this drawing Warm Company. I don't really have a tie-in between this piece and the topic at hand, so I guess I'll just kind of dive right in. I have always had pretty wild and vivid dreams. I think in part it has to do with how much I've loved making stories, so my dreams can be a lot more linear in nature. They don't always make sense, but there is like some degree of believability in them. I have very few lucid dreams because of this. That being said, one of the first dreams I remember was actually kind of lucid, though it was also a nightmare. I had to have been like 5 or 6. I don't actually remember when exactly this happened, but I at least remember that I fell asleep in the car. It started from a first person perspective, which is again rare for dreams in me, and I was looking at a movie screen. I think it had just turned off, so it was that kind of like blank white, with maybe like the film grain behind it. But then I realized that someone was behind me. Ironically enough, from a current perspective, I think they remind me of Jason from Friday the 13th, even though Freddy Krueger would probably make more sense here. But I don't think that my brain even had like either film to reference at the time. All I remember was that it was this ambling, like giant humanoid figure, resembling a tall man, walking very slowly toward me. I ran away from it because I had this notion that it was going to hurt me. I find myself in front of my mom dressed as Glinda the Good Witch, and she informs me that I was dreaming and that I would need to basically go through multiple nightmares to wake up. To get through the first dream, she gave me the ruby slippers and I wished myself out of there like the Wizard of Oz. And like she said, I was inside of another dream. This was another setting starring my mom and my little brother, which is the only way that I know I was above the age of 5. We sat in a tub and she basically explained that the spigot would run 2 streams of water, one that caused bad dreams and the other that didn't. She then took out a knife to split the tub in half, telling me to stay on the one side, which is just a brief moment to appreciate the dream warrior that is my mom in this. She really had my back there, which I mean, I guess she does in real life, so that makes sense. If there's any proof of how much I idolized my mom at this age, it was definitely this dream. After that, I drifted into the final dream of that night, which was kind of a fake out because I was sitting in the car, but I looked over and an evil version of my older brother was sitting beside me. I think his face was messed up or something. I don't know how else I'd know he was an evil doppelganger, but this is dream logic. I asked him where my real brother was, and he gestured to the front seat, where my older brother lay limp, presumably dead. I was freaking out, and from outside the car, my mom calls in, and the doppelganger was able to use my older brother's voice to claim we were fine. I think reality was kind of blending in with this dream because it felt very distant from where we were, like maybe that was something my brother had actually said. After that, though, I woke up, obviously still quite scared. Which, yeah, that has to be the longest dream sequence I have really remembered, and at least from so long ago. And, of course, due to that, it obviously stuck with me. Y'all want to hear about the time that I might have met God? So, I should preface this with a little context for this relatively brief dream. That summer, in which I was probably about 9 or 10, my mom had gone for military training, but she promised that we would watch the DVD release of Inkheart together because I was really into it for some reason, if I read the book before she came back. I was all in for it. For some reason, I was just really obsessed with like the trailers, and when I saw the book, I was like, oh hey, that's the movie that's coming out. This was a big book for me at that age, but I was glued to it for the whole summer. And in it, no big spoilers here, but there is a character named Farid who thinks he's dreaming and claims that if you speak in a dream, you can't go back to the real world. So that with that in mind, this was the dream. Again, extremely brief. I was in a white room, not void, just all white, white walls, white furniture, and I was having a conversation with an adult woman. My mind at the time said that this was my mom, but she looked nothing like my mother. She had short, jet black hair broken up by streaks of vibrant colors. She appeared to be around her 20s. I said something, I don't even remember what, but she looked at me for a moment and said, "You talked in a dream. You want to make sure you can still go back?" I agreed, and I woke up. I don't think I even cognizantly went back into that dream either. Sometimes I'm able to kind of push a little bit further into a dream that I like. But yeah, the brevity and the weird nature of that dream really do stick with me to this day. Or that's what happens like when I have lucid dreams a lot of the time. By the time I found out or like I'm told, they usually end. Or I'm not actually fully in control of them and something happens that kind of distracts me and prevents me from realizing that the whole thing is a dream that I personally can control. The last one here is more recent. I think that it was in 2023 actually, during the summer, and again, needs a little bit of context. My older brother was calling after the dogs in the backyard and saw what appeared to be our dog Amy hop the fence and run away, something she had never ever done. So obviously, he jumped the fence and ran after her. The only thing is that Amy was perfectly fine inside. When I was finally able to flag him down and tell him she was inside, he was kind of shaken because it was just a surreal experience for him. His dog, Zero, was out and was just perfectly chill with this stranger in the yard. They were just sniffing butts and running around with each other until his new friend just decided to hop back over the fence where they probably came from. Also, like, Amy isn't a totally unique dog, but it is weird that a dog so like her came into our yard. She's a lab springer, so she basically looks like a mini black lab with a white blaze on her chest. Or like a medium size, but smaller than a lab. We all believe my brother, like, no doubt, but he just wished that someone else had actually, like, seen the dog so that he knew it wasn't a hallucination or something. Also, weirdly enough, that night, we had just kind of been given some bad news. My maternal grandfather, who lived on the other country, had been struggling with his health, and it was basically confirmed that night that he wouldn't last the night. In my dream, after this, I was running after my cat, who ran into the intersection just by the house. I was scared by what seemed to be a car coming forward, but it just turned out to be a black dog, its eyes glowing red like tail lights. I said to myself, "Oh, it's the dog my brother saw," and it ran off. The next morning, we got the news that my grandpa had in fact passed during the night. I'm definitely not a very superstitious person. I don't really play in omens. Hell, we have multiple black pets. They don't really show up in my dreams as something negative, but it was all very close together. Obviously, the dream itself could have just been like the whole dog thing happening, and then the series of events surrounding it made it seem more significant altogether, especially because they just happened in so close together in sequence. But due to them happening so close together in sequence, that's what makes this particular dream stand out in my mind. But those are all the weird dream stories that I have for you right now. I have whole journals I could probably use for prompts or talk about in the future. But with that in mind, give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more speed paints and fun art challenges. Maybe some more story times in the future. I'm running out of stories. Do you have any vivid or memorable dreams? Let me know in the comments, and regardless, I'll see y'all next time.